Number 4, the 2011 Joplin, Missouri twister. It started with a storm that wasn't that impressive on radar, but turned into a natural disaster of epic proportions for the city of Joplin, Missouri.
Get to your basement immediately. The lowest, most interior room of your home. You want to stay away from windows.
Probably not even going to be visible, so everyone that lives in downtown Joplin and then east side of Joplin, that's where it is right now. You have to take shelter as quickly as possible.
The city of almost 50,000 people was under siege by a massive EF5 tornado that threw debris 1,800 feet in the air.
The tornado came about over a very short period of time, less than 5 minutes, from basically a very strong thunderstorm to an incredibly violent tornado. And that happened to occur on the boundary of a densely populated city.
It's a massive tornado, massive destruction. It's a mile-wide tornado. It's leveling the south side of Joplin right now.
The twister was on the ground for almost 20 minutes, cutting a swath 3/4 of a mile wide through the city.
We just held each other because we knew it was over. We were gone. The sound. I'll never, ever get that sound out of my head. I'll never get my husband's screaming out of my head.
I decided that I wasn't going to make it, but I did. I don't know how I survived.
Over 13 miles later, it stopped, wiping a big part of Joplin off the map. A crew from the Weather Channel's tornado hunt team was chasing the storm and arrived just 10 minutes after the twister touched down.
Yeah, it's tough. No question about that.
I'm looking at one of the biggest tornado disasters that this country may have ever seen. And I knew that in the back of my mind, and I think it just got to me, and I just couldn't keep my emotions in check at that moment. It just became, you just had to be human.
In all, over 150 people lost their lives. 2,000 buildings were destroyed. To put it in perspective, this is Joplin before the tornado. This is after.
Happy to be alive, you know? Like, we just look at each other randomly every now and then and just give each other a hug. And even though we haven't bathed in, 3 or 4 days, it's just amazing to be alive.
The Joplin tornado is the worst of the modern era. Ever since we've had any kind of tornado warnings or any kind of tornado watches. In fact, it's the deadliest tornado in the United States since 1947.
I think the Joplin tornado may have killed quite a few people, in part because it was embedded in precipitation and not readily visible.
It appears to have caught a lot of people by surprise. There were a large number of fatalities that occurred away from home. In most tornadoes, about 85% of all the fatalities occur inside of people's houses. In this tornado, that number was about 50%.
Sometimes it's still a little difficult for me to talk about it. I think it's affected everybody the way it's affected me. I didn't have any physical damage at my home or my business, but it's affected me emotionally, and sometimes it's a little difficult for me to talk about it without getting a little emotional.